Hi guys. I'm gonna probably have to come up with a lamp or something because doing it in the evening is great for you guys, but it makes it a little dark in here for me to see, and then I get this halo thing. So I was trying to figure out where to sit, and so you don't see my mess that's on my table. I'll pretend like it's not here. Anyway, I started. Sorry I didn't make an announcement about when I was going to come in. Today has been one big, huge rush after another. I just haven't stopped. Hi, Bonnie. Hi, Valerie. Hi, Ronnie. I just haven't stopped from the moment I got up. Handling issues with the post office. Apparently, I don't know if they're too busy. Hi, Teresa. Let's see if it's... Yep, the waving thing. My fingers don't work too well on my phone. Anyway, been running around trying to do that and still trying to figure out other things. So I have gotten this together and I'll tell you about the kit that this is going to be. And we're going to be, I decided not to put the 2-ply cotton mat board on there. So we're going to do this with heavyweight interfacing, and I went ahead and started doing some prep work. So what I did is I mitered the corners. I stitched out 8 threads on a 28 count. Yeah, and I've got Miss Nudgy nudging me. Hi, Paula. Good to see you too, Valerie, and thank you. On a 28, it comes out to be about 1/4 of an inch. I keep going on hold mode, Bonnie. I'm sorry. You know, it could be this weather too. I don't know. It's because it's icky and everything here. Hopefully it's not me. But let me find my needle. All right. So what I did... And this is going to be, I'm going to talk you through what I did before. We're not going to do it on the back. I might just show you a little bit. But I mitered the corners. I measured this out and it came out to be, because this is what you'll get when you get the kit, is this gingham 28. And it'll be enough. I need to work out the whole numbers on it, but it'll be enough to make 2 tops. So it'll be this and the house. You can make these as pin keeps, and then there'll be enough to do 2 fobs with it. The thread won't come with it because it's so small. You guys should have the thread. If not, I'll give you conversions and just have fun with it. But it came out to be 2 3/4 by 3 1/4, and that's what you're going to cut. I used heavyweight interfacing. Hi, Vicky. Whoops. Hi, Terry. So, why am I yelling? It's like you're going to hear me from your house. Sorry. Anyway, I mitered the corners and I used I measured out 8 threads and I put a very thin, fine basting thread. I probably should have made it darker, but I didn't. Sorry, guys. Next time I will. But I basted out 8 threads all the way around. And then I measured it out, and that came to 2 3/4 and 3 1/4. So I cut the heavyweight interfacing. And then when I started looking at the thickness of what we're going to use see it dried and see how nice it looks now instead of all tangled up like it was yesterday. I've ironed it all out. I stained it was like a dye stain on the linen banding that we're going to use. So it wasn't as brown. So it goes very nicely. See now that it's dried, how nice it goes with the tones on this cocoa gingham that's from Weeks. So what I did is I mitered the corners, and since I used the heavyweight interfacing, I was able to baste stitch the seam allowance in place. And you're going to leave that. Hi, Judy. You're going to leave that in, so you're going to need to make sure when you're running stitch and basting that down that the stitch doesn't come through to the front. Now, I didn't want you watching me flubble all around with it. Oh, my needle came out. At least it didn't go on the floor. After I did all of that, I took, hi Natalie, let's see if I, and hi Ann. I took the end of this and I rolled it. Now you're gonna have to be careful when you do this. I'm gonna give you a little bit of extra of this so you can work with it in the kit. But I rolled it under, hi Shay, whoops, you went floating away there for a minute. It's gonna splay a little bit. This is not a tube linen, hi Kristen. This is not a tube, hi Pumpkin, a tube linen, I guess you would call it like a twill tape, but it's really not. It's a linen tape. There's one that I get that's like a tube, but this one is flat. So it's going to splay a little bit. So what I did is I took my needle and thread. Let's see if I can get it where you guys can see it. I can never figure out. My son keeps going, can't you figure out where the... Hi, Jackie. But I rolled it under, and I still left the needle here. But what I did is I took my needle... do it so you guys can see it. But I just ran it inside of the linen, and I got a thread that's about the color of what I dyed the linen to. It's like a yellow brown, but I just ran it inside through the linen banding, so it's really just being blurred. I ran it through the linen banding, so it would pull it together and keep it from splaying, and then I rolled it under, and so I left it together. Now I'm going to start this at a bottom corner, and I'm going to put the two edges together, and I've left the thread from where I did the linen, and I'm going to, where I roll the linen banding, so that word right, and I'm going to catch a stitch here, and this is going to be like the ladder stitch, blind stitch, and I'm going to go straight into the linen, and I'm going to go straight across, and that's why it's called the ladder stitch, because you're going to do straight across but angle and then go straight across. So I'm going to pick up some of the linen, try to sort of go in the same spot that you just came out. I'm trying to do this so you guys can see it and I can see it. Sorry, we'll get this. I swear to God we will. See, now I've caught both of these together, and this is going to stand up, but right now I don't have to worry about that as much, as I just want to get this attached to the edge of this. So I'm back on this side of it, so I'm going to catch some of the linen banding, go through. I'm not going to try to scoop stitch because that's sort of hard to do with you guys watching and me trying to show you guys what I'm doing. And then I'm just going to catch a little bit of the linen and bring my needle up so it's going to be behind the banding. And we're going to do this all the way around. I'm not going to sit, I'll do it a couple times. I'll do this while I'm talking to you, try to show you, but we're going to go back through here, bring it up, scoop up some linen. It's really hard to do it backwards. I'm going to learn. See, I'm learning a whole nother skill. Hi, Mary Lynn. Come on, let me weave. There you go. We're going to catch some more of this. I know you guys are like going, move your hands. This is really like not lightning. It's like watching snails raise or something, paint drying. But you just keep doing that back and forth, and we're going to do that till it gets all the way to the end. And we're going to keep it up on its edge. It's pretty thin. So we're going to make sure that this gets all the way around. and just catch some more. And since the coloring, well, and the lighting that I'm in and the glasses that I have on. Oh, hi, Sharon. This seems, you could actually do this on the front part of this if you get the right color thread. And we're just catching this and going back and forth just as long. Hi, Emily. Just as long as you don't see the stitches, you can do it. I mean, that's the biggest thing. And this, because this linen banding is not a tube. Hi, Sharon. See, we're going, it's sort of moving around. It's not staying tight like if it were the linen tube, but I didn't have that. I just have this flat linen binding thread. Braid. We'll call it a braid. Maybe I can say that word too. Sorry, it's just been one of those days. I just haven't stopped, and I'm trying to think, and you guys are, this is the first time I've done one like this, so we're birthing this together. I just thought of how it should work in my head, and we're doing it. So we just keep doing that and see how now it's starting to stand up. And it's going to be, hi, Nona. If I mispronounce any of y'all's names, I totally apologize. Hi, Lisa. But we're going back and forth. For you guys that just joined, I'll show you the back again. I measured out the design. I counted out 8 linen threads, and then I put in a basting thread that I should have used darker because I was going to show you guys, but I didn't. And I basted 8 threads out, and then instead of using the 2-ply cotton mat board like I teased you guys with on using that I thought I was going to use, once I started cutting everything and looking at it, because we're only going to use 2 pieces of the cotton batting, I'm not even going to put wool in it. I thought about it. Lanolin isn't even hardly in any of the wool roving anymore, and we're not going to leave our needles in it that much, so we're just going to use the cotton batting. But what we did is, after I mitered the corners and I put heavy weight interfacing. Hi, Sharon. I put heavy weight interfacing on there. Let me move you guys over for a second so I can see what I'm showing you. But I put the heavyweight interfacing in, and I keep moving it around. I'm trying to find the sweet spot to show you guys what I'm doing. But I looked at the measurements and was like, if we start adding more in here, it's going to pop up, especially if I'm not going to use the mat board like I said I am. I'm using the heavyweight interfacing, and that's what's going to make this thicker, because this is going to be like a pen keep. We're going to keep this side. It's going to be like a little box. We're making a box using this linen braid as the side instead of using a covered piece of mat board or whatever fabric covered for the box. The banding is going to be the side of the box, and that stitched linen piece is going to be the top. And I had this wonderful fabric. It's a reproduction fabric that I had for another kit that we're going to use for the back. I thought it would be very interesting to add to this, and that's going to come with the kit. It's going to have the braid and fabric enough to make 2 of the fronts, and then you're going to get this fabric to make the back. And what I did is you trim this down, and I'll show you. I like to cut mine close. A lot of people like a thicker or a bigger seam allowance, but I'm cutting this right at about 1/4 of an inch. I used the piece that I cut out as my template to cut my fabric. And yes, I'm just eyeballing this. Some people like to measure it and make it exact. I usually do this stuff on the fly. There's sometimes, mostly when I'm doing boxes and some things, and I still cut things in the air and eyeball it. But I use ruler, like I used a ruler and cutting. Oh, hi Susan. I used a ruler when I was cutting the heavyweight interfacing and adding that on. And then mitering the corners is really taking, and you're going to have to really feel this heavyweight interfacing because you're using that as your template. You fold this corner down. Now some people clip this off. I don't. If I'm going to do a rolled hem on a piece of linen, yes, I will cut that away because you don't need that bulk on the linen when you're going to do a rolled hem and you're going to have an open area. I'll show you how to do that sometime. That's pulled work, and a lot of people used to do that when they would do 17th century samplers, and I don't know if they did the edge before they stitched the piece or stitched the piece. I'm going to nibble. I'm a nibbler. I haven't eaten in a while, so it's okay. I don't judge. And they would pull out some threads and they would miter their corners, and then they would go around and do, I don't know if they do a hem stitch or not. I'll have to look up how they do it again. But we'll do that because a lot of people will cut out their linen, their piece of linen, and they'll do that, and they will make a rolled hem, and then they will stitch that down onto another piece of fabric or piece of linen on foam core or whatever, and have it like double layered in linen when they frame it. But anyway, I folded these corners for a miter corner, and then I folded each one down. And if you're perfect and you're wonderful and you cut everything right, it'll meet like an arrow. And then you just take your needle and thread. I need to do this so I can see it. You just take your needle and thread and catch it and just tighten up these corners. Some people don't tighten their mitered corners. I just think it makes everything nice and crisp. Some people will just either tape it down with that. Hi, Marnie. Marina. I'm sorry, Marina. I called you Marnie. I renamed you. And guess what? I don't charge when I do that. Hi, Marina. I apologize for mispronouncing your name. But tightening up that mitered corner really helps get a really crisp corner. Hi, Pam. And what I'm going to do is I'm showing you guys what I'm doing as I'm talking, and I will finish this offline. I will, the pom-pom is going to have to be tomorrow. Like I said, it was going to be more than one video anyway, and I'm going to try to get, I don't know when the fobs will be finished. I'll try to work that out. But I will put the kit up on this site first. I'll figure out how many I will have, and the price point's going to be somewhere between $22 to $25 plus shipping. I have to just run some more numbers and get that, but you will get the linen big enough. You'll be able to make 4 projects out of that. You'll just have to come up with your threads, which the way these are so small, you can easily do it. I will give you a DMC conversion, and I'm using mostly, I think almost all of, well, it's either Weeks and Gentle Art threads. I just grabbed what was sitting next to me, and when I show you guys my the reproduction, you'll be like, whoa. I did try to stick to the golds that were similar. They're a little brighter, but this sampler has very little color to it, and it's very faded. But these motifs are adaptations off of a sampler that I own, and this is going to be called Adam's House. I was going to go with Eve, but I'm just going to do Adam's House. And these are going to be Adam's House pen keeps and scissor fobs. And the scissor fobs will be where you stitch it over one, which don't freak out. Over one's cool. You can do it, but this is also 28 count fabric. So that's not going to be as hard as stitching. It's beautiful. Excited to order. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, I'm going to have that all up. I promise by tomorrow, probably midday, I am going to seriously take a break. I I am not complaining about my Etsy people. Please don't, if you're one of them, don't think that. But I've had I don't know what it's been since the last bank holiday we had and they were closed. The post office has been stupid crazy in there. And I pre-stamp my stuff and measure it. I mean, weigh it, and it's all paid for before I get to the post office. And I usually try to get them to scan it, but it's been so bad that sometimes I can't even wait for them to do it. I would be there for hours. But they have not been scanning them in, and I've had people worried. You know, I send them a tracking number, and they're like, I don't have it. It's saying it's still waiting for you to drop it off at the post office. I'm like, I dropped it off, I promise. So I did talk to my post person today, and she said that they're, as I had thought, she said, one, they're really busy. Some of them aren't doing what they're supposed to, but they're also, I mitered the corners as I was talking to you, and I'm now basting it. As you can see, I have my finger here, and as I'm basting, I'm making sure it doesn't come to the front. And that's why I like using that heavyweight interfacing, because it's enough of a substance there that even with thin quilting fabric, I can baste this down so it's going to stay in place and not wiggle around, and leave it in. So if you prick your finger or hit your finger with it, you know you've gone too far. And then just periodically look to make sure that you don't have the thread there. But there's also a glitch in the software system. Hi, Suzanne. Since they did an upgrade on the pricing, even though they're scanning some of the things in, it's not showing up as being scanned. But hi, Rita. All my lost items have shown up, but I spent half the day trying to help my clients figure things out. I was doing Etsy, and then I had a couple other crises that my brain is about to explode. Hopefully I'm not acting like my brain's going to explode. Hi, Rita. But I have measured, we're working on this one first. I measured it out. I measured out 8 threads, and I put in basting, and it came to 2 3/4 by 3 1/4. And then I cut the heavyweight iron-on interfacing, attached it, mitered the corners. I basted this down, and I've started stitching this linen braid along the side of that. And this is going to it's going to be like making a box, but we're not covering fabric and putting it on there. We're using the braid as the side. But that's basically what I did to... Hi, Joanne. That's basically what I did to the linen, is I mitered the corners and I basted that in. So I'm doing that to the fabric. So when I finish putting the braid on, I'm just going to lay this. I'm going to lay the cotton batting down, lay this on top of it, and it'll be like a sandwich, and it will be stitched together. We'll stitch the side of that. Though actually, now that I've got it in there, we may use 3. Thank you, Joanne. We may use 3 of the cotton batting. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Now, this is going to wiggle a little more than I want it to. I may change my mind and put the 2-ply in there, but I don't know if I am or not. But right now, we're not. We're going with not. I'll see how stiff it is. I might even use the plastic. I don't know if you guys have done that. And if I do, I will put that in with the kit that you'll get. Yes, I'm nibbling again. You guys are seeing me nibble twice. You can turn me into the nibble police. But again, when you're sewing on your linen braid, it's going to be like a back and forth ladder stitch. I'm going to make you guys move over so I can see myself. We're going to catch the linen on the way back, catch the braid, and I'm going to do this since right now in this light I can't really see everything. So you can also do it like this. I'm going to show you this. I showed you where you could come in and go out on the back way, and you can also do this on the front if you have thread that you can't see, because this thread blends in when I'm pulling it. Well, it does in this lighting. But I'm going back and forth and just catching the edge of these. And this is what you would call a ladder stitch, because what you're stitching is straight across, so those would be the rungs of the ladder. But we're just stitching and you're pulling it through and coming back, and you really stitch it almost on top of each other. Now, I don't think when we get to the corner we're going to have to mess with much of anything. But that's basically what I'm going to be doing for a little bit, is doing that. And I don't know how much of, oops, let me move you guys back. But then again, the other way, if you don't want to stitch it in the front and your thread's not working, you can see it, is you can go through and you would bring your needle, you would come through the linen and you would bring your needle up to the back side and pull it, and then you would go through the linen braid, so you're coming through to the front. Oh, where did I go with my needle? If I get my needle straight. But you would come through the braid and pull it through, and you can do it that way. And you would just again scoop some of the linen, bring your needle back through the back, catch your linen braid in the back, and move it towards the front. So those are two ways that you can do that. You could also, yes you can, not I guess, you can. Let's bring this needle to the back of the braid. Now you can do this when you're just putting it on to the front, or whichever way you do it, but you're not going to be able to do it when you put them together. But you could easily just catch the linen and catch the edge of the braid and do all of the work on attaching it the first time around on the back. But you're still going to need to look at the front to make sure that it's looking okay, that you're not seeing any thread hanging around, so that you don't really see it. So you just need to find your sweet spot and what works for you and what makes you feel comfortable on stitching it together. I personally, I like to scoop, but since this braid is a little loose, I'm really taking a stitch from one side to the other. So we're going to do that. And I'm going to finish doing that and have it all together. And then basically once it's together, you're going to lay this on top of it, and you're going to just stitch it, you know, like what we're doing now, but you'll have the batting inside of it and you'll have it all laid out, and you can just go back and forth and stitch it. It is feeling a little looser than I thought, so let me think about this and see if we're going to do plastic or not. I'm going to get it stitched together, because really what I want this to be, I didn't bring the pins down from upstairs, is this is going to be a pin keep where you stick your pins inside of it. So I'm thinking we may be doing plastic on it. The plastic will be thinner. I was just thinking that this was going to be thick enough with the with the heavy weight and the cotton batting in there, but I don't like it since it's larger. It is going to move some, so I think we're going to put plastic in. I may put it in between the cotton. Yes, you do only need to, let's see, do you need to fold the edge of the linen braid under in the corners? The only time we're going to have to do anything with the linen braid is when we start off. And let me see if I can find an end, see if I got his whole ironed all. Here's an end. Okay. No, when we go around the corner, I don't think we're going to need to gather it. I think because the linen is so heavy, it's a thicker linen, that it'll just round that corner and you'll just stitch it in place. But you are going to have to roll the end up. You're going to have to stitch the end and roll it. So let me show you that. I'll let you guys watch me do this, because I did it while you weren't watching, because it's splayed. because again, like I'm repeating myself, but people are coming in and leaving, so we need to do that so you guys can hear it, and then you can watch it through. So, but this is a linen braid instead of a circular linen type braid, and the circular one doesn't, it's got a hole in the middle, but it doesn't splay as much as this did. Now this one, what I do is I take the needle. You could use spray check or something like that, but you're still going to have to roll this. Hi, Catherine. You're still going to have to roll this. So I made a knot in the end of my thread, and let's see if there's any extra. Let me cut it off. It's a really sloppy knot. So you know what? We're going to have to snip that off, make another one. I use the quilter's knot. I don't know if you guys have ever done that, but your needle goes up and the long end of the tail of your fabric goes down and they're parallel, and you just start spinning, you start twirling that all around the needle. You press your needle and pull it up. It's almost like making a bullion knot on the end of your needle. If you're really good, you don't have a tail, so I'm not really good. But I take this and I'm going to take my needle and must have tape or something on it because it's really stiff. So we're going to cut it off. So you're going to see how it splays. See how this splays a little bit? It's starting to come apart. That's because it's just the braid. So I just take my needle and I'm just going to weave it in and see how it's coming apart there. See, it's like coming apart. But we're going to take our needle and we're going to come up and go across this. It's sort of scary at first, but don't worry. You can do this. We're basically going to stitch it back into place. And this doesn't matter what it looks, don't get a knot in it, but it doesn't matter if this looks really, really neat or not, because you're going to roll it under. You just want to make sure that you're tightening up these bundles of the linen that make this braid. So you're just going to go and stitch back over, catch it, and stitch it. And we're going to tame this stuff. We're just going to make it stay in place. And like you can go over it like this, just stitch over it. You can do like a back stitch, whatever you need to do, because all you're doing is bundling these loose ends of the linen. And like I said, you can use fray check, but you're still going to have to turn this edge under. So that's why I like just bundling it up like this, just stitching and stitching and making it, taming it, and try to make it stay in place. So now we've got it sort of staying in place. We're going to take it and roll it under, and then roll it under again. Well, we've rolled it, we're going to fold it, so we fold the threads back, and then we're going to roll it and fold it back again. And it still sort of looks like a mess. I can't move my fingers because everything is going to splay out. But still looks like a mess. We're going to bring the thread around to the back, and then we're just going to start stitching in it. And you just want to pull it together. You can take your needle and shove it through there. I'm sort of telling you more than you can see because my fingers are really getting in the way. I'm sorry. I have to start working on bigger stuff so my fat fingers won't show. But we're just going back and forth. And see, I have this linen that's sticking up there. We don't want that to be sticking up. So I'm just going to stitch over and stitch it down into place. And just pulling it. And you're just sort of forcing this to, hi Pauline. You're just forcing that edge into place. And again, this thread matches this linen, and I'm taking enough stitches that you can't really see it. So I can stitch through it like this and just make the loose ends go away. Your whole goal is to make the loose ends go away. Hi, Pumpkin. And have a clean end that you can start with. So this is rolled up. You can sort of see how it doesn't look the greatest. That's going to go on the inside. But on the front, you can't really see that much. I mean, you can a little bit, but once you get it to the end and you stitch it together, you're not going to see that as much. Plus, if the whole thing is what they say, if you can see, unless you can see it galloping by on a horse, don't worry about it. I mean, I don't mean don't be neat, but there are some things that you just can't help. But it looks worse on the camera than it does if you do. My eyes are really bad. But this is going to meet up. Pretend like this is the end. This is the end of what I started on the original, but these two are going to be together, and we're going to stitch it, and we're going to stitch them together once they're all attached, and stitch up that seam, so you're not going to see the seam that much. And that's why I like to start on the corner. The other thing you could do is start it on the top or on the bottom and make a bow and put a bow on top of it, or put some sort of decoration where it meets. That's what a lot of people do when they do needlepoint. Hi, Donna. But again, we're just now trying to get the top attached to the sides. I don't know if yep, you guys are catching me nibbling again. Nibble, nibble, nibble. And this thread is getting short. But again, I'm not going to finish this totally while we're here, because you'll be with me all evening while I'm doing this. But again, you catch the linen and you catch the braid, and you can do it from the back, or you can go through the linen to the front and ladder stitch by coming over the edge of the linen and going into the braid and coming into the back. And you've got a little flexibility with doing this when you're just doing the one side. Once we start layering everything in here, it's going to be, you're going to have to pick one type of way of doing it, or you're just going to have to do all your stitching on the outside, because you can't get inside of it because you'll be sewing the top on. Another thing you could do is lay them where they're parallel together and stitch back and forth too. The only thing that's going to happen with that is it's going to make it harder to make it sit up. You're going to see how it attaches to the edge. So if you hold the edges where, instead of laying them on top of each other, but hold them where they're like parallel to each other, when you're stitching, it's going to be like a box. It'll roll and fold over. There won't be this where it's on top of each other and leave a ridge. Not a ridge. But then again, we just keep stitching that. Let me see if I can get to the corner so I can, that will help us see that, so you'll see that you don't have to roll and tuck around the edge. So let me just do this really quickly. And I appreciate you guys spending part of your Friday evening with me. Sorry I got it together as much as I did, and I really didn't think I was going to use the mat board. If you do want to use the mat board, we can still stitch down the sides and miter the corners. But if you use the mat board or the plastic, you may want to use that instead of the interfacing as your template. So when you miter your corners, instead of basting it down, you can slide your plastic up inside of there. Yes, that's my dog. I think Thomas is going to try to sneak out. I hear the dogs running around. He's like the Pied Piper. They're being awful quiet this evening. I'm surprised, because the past couple evenings they have totally been enamored with you guys being on the phone. Ah, here comes Niji. I can hear her tiptoe across the floor. Yep, they're listening to Thomas too. I'm getting there really fast. I'm just nattering on so you guys And I'm really not showing you that much because I'm really trying to get to that corner so I can show you how we run around the corner with the banding. Yep, I just got nudged. Okay, we are, ta-da, at the corner. So, I'm going to lift, see how I'm going to lift this up so it's going to round that corner. We're not going to, in the braid, we're not going to do it like do a section and end, and we're going to keep it as one continuous braid all the way around. So I'm going to move you guys so I can see what I'm doing. So you're going to catch the linen and you're going to catch the braid. Don't nudge me, please. And then stop, sweetie. And you're going to come across and catch it there. And we're just going to we're going to try to make the braid do an angle so it's around the corner. But we're not having to tuck it or do anything, because once we catch the braid and do it right there at the corner, see how that's going to stay in place? I'm going to stitch it a little bit more, but it'll be rounded, but it's just right there, and we're not doing any tucking, we're not ending it and starting it again, we're just using it as one continuous. And my thread's getting too short. But it's going to just round that corner. The only time we're going, and then what we'll have to do, like I showed you, the rolling and tucking of the other end when they meet, you're going to need, see, I'm totally licking my thread in front of you guys. But you're going to have to, you can't pre-roll the end of your the end of your braid. I even do this technique when I'm doing rickrack. You can't pre-do that. You have to wait till you get there and you cut it and you trim it back about a 1/4 inch or so, whatever you think you're going to need to tuck it and roll it. And you have to do it while it's attached. But here, what I'm going to do is, to make this be a little crisp, I'm coming up in the corner of that linen, of the linen piece, and then going through the linen braid, and see it's right there at that corner. And then I'm going to catch the braid again, come up, go through the linen, and we've rounded the corner. Now all we're going to do is take our needle, go through the linen for the front of the piece, catch the linen braid, and start going down the side just like we did on the other side, on the original side. Now I just noticed that I'm doing something I've told you guys that I normally don't do, and I don't know why I did it. Maybe it's because I was watching myself opposite on my phone, because yes, Megan May, I still haven't read the instructions. When I add braid or anything to the side of my pieces, I like to do it where I do it counterclockwise, not clockwise. And I did this clockwise. Let me move you back over. I don't know why I did that. I think it's because I'm brain dead. Oh, I don't even know how to pronounce that. I'm so sorry. Araxi. I have bastardized your name, and I am so sorry. But thank you for joining us, sweetie. And I've apologized to anyone that I mispronounce your name or can't read it, or I don't catch you guys when you're coming in. But yes, we have rounded that corner. That's how we do that. And we're going to just do the other corners, and I'm running out of thread. So basically, like I said, we're making this into a box. The braid is going to be like the edge of the box, and the stitched piece is the top, and the lining fabric or the quilting fabric I have, Hylinet, will be the bottom of the box. And since I was talking to you guys and doing it really fast, I'm seeing where it's not totally as taut as I would like for it to be on the edge of this. So I'm going to go back when you guys aren't watching, like a little elf, and I'm going to, hi Lori, I'm going to tighten the edge of this up. So basically, let me go over this for you guys that joined, and then I'm going to stop this, and you guys can watch it once it's finished, because I'll upload it like I have, and then I'll put it on my YouTube, and I'll let you guys know when it's on the YouTube. But this is also going to be a kit, and I think I told you guys about $20 to $22 to $25 will be the price point plus shipping, but you're going to get enough fabric to do this front. You'll have 2 pen keeps and enough to do 2 scissor fobs when you're going to do it over one. And I'll put the instructions, and you'll also get this lining fabric, the fabric that's for the back, and the braid. But you'll have to supply the threads, the cotton batting, and oh, hi sweetie, I will put in either the 2-ply cotton mat board or the plastic, but I think we're going to go with plastic. I wasn't going to use it, but I am, because I want it to be stiff. And then what you'll do is stick your needles through here, so this will be a needle keep. And this is what it looks like. We've mitered the corners and we're basting. I probably will, Sharon. It'll depend on the availability of all the supplies. I'm going to put it up for you guys, and then if I have some left, I'll put it on Etsy. And if I can get the fabric and stuff in time, I will, or I can set some aside. If you guys say you want it, then you'll definitely have to come by and get it. I've had some people do that and then not come and get it because they spend their money on other things. But if I don't have it, if I run out of it there or don't have it, I can defer the shipping and send it to you too. The braid may be a little different depending on what I have on hand and what I can order, because it's getting, like I've repeated this in some of my other videos, it's getting harder and harder to get some supplies. The tariffs are starting to be a problem. Some companies aren't making things. China's being slightly bratty and not wanting to produce things. Taiwan is trying to pick it up. I could go on and on. But what I'm doing here is I'm just basting this down. That's what we did to the front. We mitered the corners. I'm catching the heavyweight interfacing, and I am just tightening this up, so when we lay this down, it's just going to be like laying a flat piece of paper over it and making it into a box. But I'm just doing like a straight running stitch. I got my finger here because, as you can see, you don't want to see the thread sticking through because you're going to leave this in. Oh, that's okay, Bonnie. Love seeing you, and you guys can go. It's no worries. I understand. This has gone on a little longer. We have people coming in, but basically that's pretty much it. I'm going to figure out if we're going to use the plastic or the mat board. I will come on tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll do sometime. I'll try to announce it, but we're going to do the putting on pom-pom on a piece, and it's a la-di-da piece that I mixed it up and changed the colors and did the linen. But I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to go decompress and figure out what I'm doing for the rest of the day. Thank you. I will show you what it looks like, and I will probably have the other piece together, and I will have the totals of what everything is and everything like that. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful evening, and you will be seeing me tomorrow. Bye.